flamboyant player is showing just how much courage and strength he has, both on and off the table. 3 times Masters champion, your appreciation for the Beckham of the Baize, Paul Hunter!
Paul Allen Hunter was born on October 14, 1978 in Leeds, England. He began playing snooker in early childhood, and by the age of 14 years old, he won English doubles championship with Richard Brooke. Paul was trained by Jimmy Mickey and 1986 World Snooker champion Joe Johnson. Paul Hunter's first season as a professional player was 1995-96. At the age of only 16 years old, he debuted at 1995 Tailem Classic, with a strong showing, winning his first 3 matches against Donald Bonner, Andrew Fortio and Steve Russell, losing only 4 frames in these 3 matches. However, the boy with the golden cue lost 2-5 in round 4 against Peter McCullough. In his 2 further tournaments, Paul has managed to reach the round of last 128 2 times in a row, but his first notable success took place at 1995 UK Championship, the second most prestigious tournament in the season. Achieving 8 consecutive victories, he advanced to last 64, where he faced world number 6 Alan McManus. Scottish player took early lead, 3 frames to 1, but Paul Hunter overturned the match flow and won convincingly 9-4. In the next round, Paul faced Welsh player Wayne Jones, 48 number in rankings. Paul won the first frame, and after losing the next 2, he responded with 4 frames in a row, but Jones equalized the score to 5-5. The 11th frame was the last that Hunter won in that match, with Jones winning 4 frames to secure the victory. But despite the loss, the performance in this very tournament put Paul Hunter on the map. After achieving round 5 at German Open, Paul Hunter demonstrated his best result in his season at the very next tournament, defeating on his way World Championship runner-up Nigel Bond. Hunter's Welsh Open run was topped in the semi-final, 1 frame to 6, against 1991 World Champion John Parrott. Following down the season, Hunter's best result was reaching last 32 at Thailand Open, where he once again met John Parrott, but this time lost it in decider, 4 frames to 5. Hunter didn't qualify for the main stage of World Championship, finishing the season as the number 78 in rankings. After the first 2 tournaments where Hunter didn't perform his best, it was a time for a new UK Championship, where Paul showed an absolutely magnificent play. Convincingly winning first 2 matches, he faced Wayne Jones in last 96 and avenged previous season loss with confident 5-2 win. In round last 64, Paul faced Willie Thorne, and even though matches got longer and were decided by best of 17 frames, Paul performed a whitewash of his experienced opponent. Last 32 round was a match against world ranking number 5 at the time, James Wadena, and that was the most impressive Paul's match of the season, because not only Paul managed to win the match, he made 4 century breaks during this. To put into perspective how remarkable is this, amongst all other matches of 96-97 season, he made 6 more centuries. By making it into last 16 in such a confident way, many may consider Hunter a huge favorite in the match against Northern Irish player Terry Murphy, but in fact, it was Paul's toughest challenge. Securing victory with 9 frames to 7, Paul advanced to quarterfinal against reigning world champion Stephen Hendry.
Well, I think he thought it'd be a shot for nothing. He may just have the angle on the yellow to come up towards the reds. That's not bad. And I think he can get onto the black off this red. So now a great opportunity.
11. 12. 17. 18.
Well, I think if he's going to have to hold on the red, he's going to have to pot the black in cannon into another one. Oh, and didn't he play that well? Good shot. The only problem is, cannon in that red, he's knocked it into that
25.
little cluster behind the pink, so after this red needs a good angle on the black.
26.
And now may force the cue ball into that cluster of reds. Just check in to see whether he can pot a red without doing that. Well,
33.
I don't know whether he can cut that red back into the right centre. If he can't, I think he's got another red into the left centre pocket. But it's a red he needs to get.
34.
Well, he's a cool customer, Ray, this young man. Frame-winning chance now.
Yes, John, there's a lot of good young players in the game, but every so often one comes through you
41.
think might be just a little bit out of the ordinary. And
42.
last year he got to the semi-final of the Regal Welsh, a ranking tournament in his first year. And as I say, this year in the quarter-final of one. So I think he is something special, John.
49.
And I think he actually has got that perhaps extra special temperament that's needed.
50.
Well, I think that's the key, Ray. No matter how much ability you've got to have the temperament to be able to produce it on the big occasion. And so far, he's doing that. In fact, in his last match, which I did quite a bit of commentary
55.
on, he struggled, that's fair to say, but whenever he got a chance on the last couple of reds, if he had the last couple of reds and the colours to clear up to win a frame, he took them. So, temperament coupled with ability.
56.
A formula for success. And that should make the frame safe now. 68 points in front, only 59 left. But wouldn't it be nice if he could reply with a century after Stephen got one in the first?
He's seen it all before. He knows this frame's gone.
64.
All shots coming alike.
Well, just misjudged that. Obviously,
69.
he'll be taking a red on here. Frame safe, but wouldn't he love to make a century? And he might do now. Great pot.
He had 4 centuries in his match against James Watanabe last week. 9-6. So no nerves about big
84.
breaks with this young man.
$85. $93. $96.
Absolutely brilliant. What a reply.
$105. $111.
Anything the world champion can do,
118.
This young man can do as well, so far. What a great start to this match. The crowd, again, enjoying the second frame.
Paul hanged well, and even took the lead early in the match with 3 frames to 2, and later with 5 to 3. But despite that effort, Henry responded with 6 consecutive frames, thus ending Paul's marvelous path in the tournament. Unfortunately, this quarterfinal appearance was the only one for Paul till the end of the season, with the best result was less 32 at Thailand Open. The final match of the season was a loss against his coach Jimmy Mickey in less 96 of World Championship. On the bright side, that season marked Hunter's debut at the Masters, a tournament that later became synonymous with Paul Hunter. The fact that Paul has turned into a rising star with Snooker World was undeniable, and huge climb in ranking ladder from 78 to 33rd position spoke for itself. The beginning of the season wasn't as good as Paul may have expected. With last 16 round at Grand Prix was the best result amongst first 4 tournaments. Even traditional successful UK Championship run ended early in last 64. But after this slump, Paul saw his first major success, which took place at Welsh Open. Defeating Paul Wykes 5-3 in last 96 and thus avenging him the loss from German Open, Paul advanced to last 64, where he defeated Neil Fools 5-2. In last 32, 6-time world champion Steve Davis lost to Hunter 3-5. Continuing his strong run, Paul matched victory over Nigel Bond in the side of 5-4. Entering his first quarterfinal since last year UK Championship, Hunter defeated Alan McManus 5-3. In a semi-final, Paul surprisingly easy won over Peter Ebdon 6-1, thus entering his first career ranking final. Hunter's opponent John Higgins was in great form, winning previous ranking tournament German Open and already achieving 2 more finals that season. Scottish player was a favorite, but the match starting phase was very competitive. Both players were extension frames with the scoreboard displayed 5-5, and after taking the lead 6-5 first time in the match, Paul was able to take 3 more frames to ensure his victory 9-5, thus winning his first ever ranking trophy. After a successful Welsh Open, the latter part of the season was underwhelming, with the best result was last 16 at Scottish Open. Main stage of Crucible once again didn't so Hunter as that season, he lost in final qualification round to Mark King 8-10. Nonetheless, after first ranking title win, another huge climb was inevitable. Season of 97-98, Paul finished as the world number 24. One can argue that Paul lacked consistency in his results, and in order to join the top 16, Paul needed an improvement in that area. Season started with last 16 at Scottish Masters and last 32 at Grand Prix. Then Paul got an upset loss against Paul Sweeney at Benson Hedges Championship. With this kind of results, it was hard to expect to get into top 16. So it was about time to step up. Next tournament was prestigious UK Championship. After previous year early elimination, Paul was determined to rewrite his personal best. In last 64, Hunter faced Lee Walker and comfortably won 9 frames to 3. Advancing to last 32, Paul faced Northern Irish player Josh Whale. and after losing 0-3 and 5-6, Paul took the win 9-6. Last 16 match featured face-off against legendary Jimmy White. 6-time World Championship runner-up won first 2 frames, but Hunt responded with 9, winning 9-2. Quarter-final matchup was against another legend, Steve Davis. Paul continued his confident run and won 9-4. Semi-finals saw a repeat of Welsh Open final, as John Higgins was an opponent for Paul. But unlike previous encounter, it was reigning World Championship time to shine, as the score was 4-9. Despite the loss, UK Championship was crucial to season standings, earning Hunter a lot of ranking points. The later part of the season was more consistent rather than previous ones, with 5 less 32 finishes, 1 less 16 and 1 quarter-final. Also that season features Paul debuted at the main stage of Crucible. Even though he lost in last 32 against eventual tournament winner Stephen Hendry, Paul solidified his position in top 16 of world rankings, thus ensuring his guaranteed qualification for the main stages of next season ranking events. Hunter's first season as top 16 player didn't go quite well. 0 finals, 0 semi-finals, and even 0 quarter-finals in ranking tournaments. In Crucible, because of his new rankings position, Paul once again played in the main stage and met Joe Swale, whom he defeated twice early in the season, but in this match, Swale prevailed 10-6. Thanks to 6 last 16 finishes, Hunter managed to retain spot in top 16, even though he dropped 2 positions in ranking to 14th. Here is what Paul said in an interview from 2004 about this stage in his career. I won my first tournament in 1998, when I was 19. I thought I made it. I gave up practicing and started drinking heavily. I got into a bad way, but I would never have gone totally down the Alex Higgins path, because I'm too sensible. My dad used to be a roofer, and now he's a coach driver, and he made me understand I had to work hard. Not wasting any time, Paul went straight away to improving his game. British Open saw Hunter's first ranking semi-final since UK Championship 98. In the next 3 tournaments, Paul achieved 2 quarter-finals, and later on he got to the final of Welsh Open, losing to Ken Doherty 2-9. Continuously growing results meant that major success was inevitable, and upcoming London's Masters was an ideal platform to cement this. Defeating his best friend Matthew Stevens in a decided last 16, Paul went on winning against Peter Abbott 6-3 in quarters. Semi-finals saw Hunter overcoming 7-time world champion Stephen Hendry 6-4. And then it was time for the final. Irishman Fergal O'Brien, who on his way to the final defeated Mark Williams, Ken Doherty and Dave Howard, was Paul's opponent. O'Brien took a storming start, winning 5 out of 6 first frames. After 2 more frames, score was 2-6 and session has ended. During break happened plan B. Here are some comments from Paul's interview. Sex was the last thing on my mind. I just wasn't in the mood. But I had to do something to break the tension. It was a quick session, around 10 minutes or so, but I felt great afterwards. Just jumped in the bath, I had a kip, and then played like a dream. I reeled off 4 centuries in 6 frames. I won easily.
That's a bit unlucky. He tried to leave himself on the black when freeing it. He covered the pink. The other red's covering the blue. It'll have to be green. But the Masters always seems to throw up something a bit special. And always close finals, certainly for the last 4 years. Matthew Stevens beating Ken Doherty 10-8 last year. John Higgins beat Ken Doherty 10-8 the year before. And then that 1998 final, Mark Williams beating Stephen Hendry on a respotted black. So we've had some thrilling finals here.
18. $19. 24.
And Paul Hunter's average shot
25.
time down below 20 seconds now. Just 19 seconds. And he's really getting on with it now. That was helped with the 2 century breaks.
$31.
Another good shot. But he's got to try and leave himself an angle on something this time to try and get into the reds. I don't think.
32.
I was going to say, I don't think he's got the pace, but he's really just about perfect. He just rolled on, and now full in the face of the pink. Doesn't have to bash this too hard, just a nice pace. Didn't get it full. But he might be all right. Maybe the red near the black will be on.
$38. $45.
Trying to keep his concentration.
46.
That's why it's such a difficult game. There's absolutely nothing you can do while you're in your seat. You've got to just watch there as your opponent clears the balls up.
53. $54.
Just 4.5 minutes for this effort. As you
61.
see, red and black, and we'd be all square.
Yep.
Two and a half thousand people thoroughly enjoying every shot.
$70. $77.
Paul Hunter's
78.
very good friends with Jimmy White. Jimmy White's got the high break at the moment with 136. And if my calculations are right, if he gets 3 more blacks,
85.
he could equal Jimmy's high break.
86. 93. 94. 102.
Paul and Jimmy might be very good friends, but not friendly enough for Jimmy White to share £20,000 with him. But this is a great performance. He may have gone too hard. He may have gone a bit too far.
109.
Still see the yellow, but more difficult to hold for the green now. Played it well.
114. 118. 123. 129.
How would you like to play this one for £10,000? You would love to have been a little bit straighter.
Please, gentlemen.
Brilliant clearance by Paul Hunter. And what a bounce there is in his step, and I'm sure the audience know that he's just equalled that high break. And he's brought the match level at 8 frames each.
Hunter was unstoppable in second session, and in the deciding frame he overcame the odds and became Masters champion for the first time.
Paul Hunter produced some fantastic snooker this evening. An absolute wonderful match.
With a Sleeper Talent Masters losing in last 32, Paul added another impressive run, this time in Scottish Open, losing in semi-final to Ken Doherty 3-6. In Crucible, Paul won his first match at the main stage, but lost to Stephen Hendry in last 16, 5-13. Dramatic improvement in results allowed the man with the golden cue finish season in 9th position in rankings. After previous season's success, it was important not to lose focus and stick to the right track. But the first 4 ranking tournaments hardly can be described as successful. 2 last 32 and 2 last 16 finishes weren't impressive results, and it was time to step up. Welsh Open 2002 was next in line. Back in previous season, Hunter reached the final, but lost to Ken Doherty 2-9. 1 year later, both of these players faced each other once again. Despite losing first frame, Paul won 5 in a row. Doherty tried to go back in the game, but Hunter secured the victory with 9 frames to 7. Repeating his Welsh triumph of 4 years ago, it was time to defend non-ranking Masters title. Winning against Stephen Lee in last 16, 6 frames to 3, Hunter advanced to quarter-final, where he won in the decider against Peter Ebdon 6-5. Semi-finals saw another difficult clash, 6-5 victory over Alan McManus, that allowed Hunter to reach the final. 2000 world champion Mark Williams didn't hesitate and won 5 first frames. But Paul bounced back with 5 frames of his own. After that, neither player managed to take the lead of more than 1 frame. When the score came down to 9-9 yet again, it was Paul Hunter's time of glory. Winning the 3rd decider in a row in this tournament, Hunter defended his Masters title in thrilling fashion. Unfortunately, after 2 consecutive trophy wins in the remaining 5 tournaments, the man with the golden key was unable to reach even at least quarter-final stage. At the World Championship, Paul lost in last 32 against Australian Quinton Han, 9-10. Despite underwhelming start and ending, Winning Welsh Open helped Hunter retain his position in rankings, remaining world number 9th. Even though last season Hunter managed to win 2 trophies and solidify his highest ranking position, one thing cannot be ignored. At World Championship, Paul didn't perform at his peak, winning only 1 match from 4 main stage participations. Hunter was determined to change this in an upcoming season. Achieving 2 quarterfinals, one in Professional Invitation Scottish Masters and out in ranking LG Cup, Paul took part in British Open. Defeating Icelandic player Kristinn Helgason 5-3 in last 32, Hunter faced in last 16 the Rocket Ronnie O'Sullivan and won in the deciding frame 5-4. Quarterfinal match saw confident victory over Anthony Hamilton 5-1, and in semi-final, Paul Hunter played against Chris Small, also emerging to win 6 frames to 3. Final game of the tournament was versus Ian McCallagh. Paul took the lead from the get-go, winning 3 consecutive frames. Despite McCallagh's efforts, Hunter never saw troubles in this match, and after some frames exchange, the final score settled as 9-4, thus allowing Hunter to celebrate yet another deserved trophy. UK Championship was next in calendar, but here Paul got eliminated pretty early, in last 16 against Ken Doherty 4-9. After that, Paul went to try defending his previous season titles, but in Welsh Open he lost in semi-final against Mark Williams 2-6. Interesting trivia fact, at this very tournament in last 32, Hunter faced future 3-time world champion Mark Selby, winning 5-1. It was one of only 2 encounters between these players. Then it was time for the Masters. Even though Paul was unable to retain the title for the 3rd straight season, losing in semi-final to Mark Williams, overall results would definitely stand out comparing to the previous seasons in terms of consistency. At the European Open quarterfinal, Hunter faced his 3rd consecutive loss against Mark Williams, 2-5. That certainly made Paul more motivated to overcome Welshmen for their next fixture, which took place at Irish Masters 2003, and this time the man with a golden cue captured victory 6 frames to 1. Although in semi-final, Paul was stopped by Ronnie O'Sullivan 3-6. As it was previously mentioned, Paul Hunter faced Mark Selby only 2 times in his career, and last 32 at Scottish Open saw another clash between them. And in an upset this time, it was Mark Selby celebrating, as score was 3-5. Even though it was a bit worrying to the Paul fans before upcoming World Championship that this year will be no different, Hunter demonstrated a very confident game in the first match against Ali Khat, winning 8 first frames and then converting result into a 10-5 win, qualifying to the last 16 to face his friend Matthew Stevens. Paul was determined to reach his goal, and won even more comfortably, 13 frames to 6, advancing to the quarterfinal. Peter Ebdon was the reigning world champion, and this match certainly was testament for Hunter's world champion ambitions. It was a classic battle where both players had opportunities. First session ended with a draw, 4-4. In the second session, Ebdon took the lead, but it was another tie, with the score stopped 8-8. Third session was about to determine who will continue battle for the title. After Peter Ebdon took the lead, Hunter overturned the game and won 3 frames in a row, needing only 1 more for the win. Reigning world champion was determined to defend his title and equalized to 12-12. 25th and final frame of the match saw Hunter earning his toughest Crucible victory, Serene.
He won't win it this year. Paul Hunter may. A wonderful victory for this young man. He really has played well and he stuck to his task, and he goes through by 13 frames to 12 to the semi-final.
Semi-final match against a well-known opponent Ken Doherty was up next. Since the first frames, Hunter took the lead, 2-0, then 4-1, eventually winning the first session 6 frames to 2. In the second session, first 2 frames were shared, but then Paul went back to extending his lead.
Long straight pot to stick on the black. Which, being slightly protected by red to the right of it, led to Hunter's decision to go back up for blue.
coming around to have a look at what's available. Black out of commission at the moment, as is the pink, but if he could drop nicely on... he's got a choice of reds to play for. He just looked to see if he could get on the red to the right of the black, but that might be a few shots ahead. Well, straight away he's tried to get onto it. He had the one for the right middle. So if he's got an angle on this one, and the black's available into the opposite corner, this would open things up.
So
this is a promising start after the mid-session interval here.
$15.
Wasn't a good pack to go into the way they're sitting there.
23.
And still a couple of reds available before he has to disturb anything.
$28.
Now the important shot coming up now. This cannon, the left of the two reds, the one will be available into the right, the one next to the cue ball. So if this works out nicely, he could open quite a few reds up here.
$36.
We talk about Paul's temperament, Clive, and I think that match against Peter Ebdon, when Peter played two flawless frames to draw level at 12 each, the way he clinched the deciding frame, he's got everything, this young man, hasn't he?
A very cool temperament. Gritty when he's behind, and he's got the killer instinct when he has a chance to win.
See, even that shot there, I mean, that was awkward cueing there. Play the cannon with the amount of screw. Just watch the reaction on the white. Top drawer there.
45.
And he'd have to miss something very straightforward not to clinch the frame here. He's done all the hard work. He's had breaks of 50, 61 in frame 11, a 73 52. In frame 12, and now this.
53. There've been a couple of well-judged pack openers in this break. $60.
But we're at the stage now where you see the best snooker being played. When you get to the semi-final stages of the Embassy World Championship, one table, no distraction from the other side of the arena. It doesn't get any better than this.
68. So this is effectively frame ball. 69.
And it's amazing how the audience know when the frame is safe. You always get a round of applause, so they really do
76.
know their snooker here in the Crucible.
77. $82. 83. Right from the start of the tournament, Hunter has been very fluent and assured. When there's been a big break on, 89. He's usually made it.
And this reminds
90.
me of a few seasons ago when he played Fergal O'Brien in the final of the Masters and was 6-2 down. He came out in the evening and he made 4 centuries in 6 frames and almost equaled Stephen Hendry's 5 centuries in 7 frames. Something I thought would never
96.
be equaled, and this young man almost achieved that. But 4 centuries in 6 frames.
$97. $102. 103. $108. 110. 113. This is quality. It's so helpful in long matches. 117. If you can win frames in a single scoring visit, it's taking less out of you that way. 122.
That white flew off the top cushion. It really is quick out there.
128. 135. And with that clearance of 135, Paul Hunter goes 5 frames clear. He leads by 9 frames to 4.
Winning second session, Hunter set the score at 11-5. After the game resumed, Paul picked up where he left off, making the score 15-9, with needing only 2 more frames to reach his first ever World Championship final. 1997 World Champion Ken Doherty was put in the difficult position, and all he had left was to take 1 frame at a time approach, trying not to warn him out the score. It paid some dividends as he reduced the gap to 4 frames to make the score 15-11. Frame number 27 was probably one of the most significant in the match.
Ken Doherty 36.
Well, that's the first slip up, and it could be very costly, and it was a pretty straightforward pot as well. I think he was just thinking about the white. He never dreamt he would miss this.
One. The way appeared clear for Doherty to reduce his arrears to 3 frames. This is Hunter's chance to go 5 up with 6 to play, assuming that he's still on that red to left middle. 8.
Only just, I think. Very tight, obviously, and he wouldn't be looking at it this long. Well, he's not on it. This is a much more difficult pot. Well, we've said about him being a cool customer. He played a poor positional shot and he pulled out a difficult pot there.
$16. This match would be more or less level, but for Doherty unexpectedly missing easy balls like that. There have been about 4 or 5 of them in this match.
Well, that's not the best positional shot that Paul's ever played. He can still cut the pink in, but it's quite a thin one. He'll have to come twice across the table to finish on that red. He'll want to finish in between that red and the blue.
$23. $24.
So he's going to need the yellow. He's got the perfect angle on the black just to slide the white past pink and blue and leave a pretty straightforward yellow.
$31.
Well, that's the first sign of weakness from Paul Hunter. He put a quick one in there. He's such a smooth cueist, but he wasn't smooth on that one. He really did just give a little bit of it. Just watch the cue, you could see that there.
And that was for 5 up with 6 to play.
And just have a look at this shot that Ken has played. What a difference that missed yellow could make. That certainly, we've talked about Paul's temperament. He's still got a bit to do, and he's left that a little bit short. He's going to have to come off the top cushion. How's the pace on the white? It's pretty good.
Pink and black still needed. $20. It looks certain that Paul Hunter would go 5 up with 6 to play, but Ken Doherty reduces the gap to 3 frames, which is the least it's been since it was 7-4.
In the following frame, Paul had another chance to turn the tables.
He's let it slip. He's let that slip. That was a straightforward cannon onto the red to leave the pink available.
It looked like a clear run to the line, but this looks like an attack of clincher's disease, making unexpected errors.
Paul Hunter 8.
Within sight of the winning post.
Well, with that 52-point lead, you'd still have to make him a favourite for this frame. He's kept the brown with his last shot reasonably safe, keeping it close to the cushion. Well, that was so close. He got a good white again. When I say a good white, Ken Doherty needs a good white here because this is a thin snick. The white will be heading up towards the red and blue. And he's got a good kiss, a very fortuitous kiss. And a chance to get right back into it.
Hunter continues to be put through the ringer. The general expectation was that he would clinch a comfortable victory this afternoon. The general expectation was wrong.
So, eight.
Took the chance to develop that red there. So with the red being so close to the pocket, not sure what was going to happen to white.
15.
But what a nice kiss to leave the easy pink on. Now, how much apart will that brown that's off its spot play in this frame? He's got quite a few balls to pot before he gets there. But that's the only one that's reasonably safe.
$23. $24.
You need plenty of self-belief to withstand this sort of pressure. At some point, Hunter's got to come out this afternoon and do the business.
31.
Well, there's a lot of snooker left in this frame. If Paul Hunter wins this frame, I think he'd be a comfortable winner. If Ken Doherty nicks this frame, what a semi-final we could be left with.
$32.
He won't do anything about the brown until he pots the yellow, leaves an angle for the green, and then he'll worry about the brown.
$37. $38.
He wants to be dead straight on the yellow so that he can pot it and screw straight back to more or less where the white is now. So it's all about getting a good angle on the green to give himself a chance to do something
40.
about that brown.
$42.
Well, just looking at it, he's gone a little bit too far, so what he might do is try and play this with right-hand side as you look at it to take the white off that bottom cushion and drop in behind the brown. It would give him a choice of pockets. How's the pace on the white? It's 45. The corner. What a big shot this is.
It would give Doherty a passport to take the frame.
Absolutely amazing.
54.
He's played 3 perfect frames. They've both missed a few in this frame.
At the start of play, Paul Hunter was within 2 frames of a place in the final. He still is, but his lead has been reduced to only 2 frames. Hunter leads by 15 frames to 13.
After Doherty got to the distance of 1 frame, tension was rising more and more, thus leading to the misses from both sides.
But that's second best. He was trying to swing that all the way around the angles and avoid the green and brown.
Brown and blue needed.
Where's the brown going?
Paul Hunter 8.
He seemed to hit that a little bit harder than he needed.
That's anxiety doing its work.
Well, it is amazing, but this is the sort of thing that can happen out there in the Crucible Theatre. At this stage, anything can be missed.
That was Doherty's chance to level the match, although he needed the other colours as well.
Well, this is far from easy. He held his nerve that time. 4. That was a difficult pot.
The blue was the clinching colour. Doherty had his chance to level the match, but with a huge sigh of relief, Hunter took the frame to go 2 up with 3 to play at 16-14.
Hunter managed to win the frame and go to the final as close as possible, with needing only 1 single more. And right in the next frame he got an opportunity to secure the ticket to the final.
Move the pink and finish on the blue. This is not an exhibition. But he still tried it. He still tried it. 4. What a brave shot. And he was a bit unlucky. What an effort.
Paul Hunter 4.
Wow. Big, big shot.
What a time for a fluke. Unbelievable. It was frame ball.
Well, Ken has played that blue. He's hit it so hard, I don't know why. But what a fluke. But why did he hit the blue so hard?
Ken Doherty 5.
I didn't expect him to play it pocket weight, but I didn't expect him to play it like that.
Not quite a snooker. He must have left a chance this time.
I thought that Hunter should have played something more conservative there. Just get the pink safe and wait for a better chance. So this incredible semi-final continues. Paul Hunter is still 1 up with 2 to play. But Doherty had to win, had to flip that last frame.
Eventually the game went to a deciding 33rd frame. And as it was hard to believe after such huge advantage that Paul had, the man with the golden cue lost 16-17.
And Paul Hunter summons a gracious smile despite his crushing sense of disappointment.
Here is what Ken Doherty wrote in his book about that match. It was incredible. I felt elated, as if I'd won the title. It was the best comeback of my career, and to do it at the Crucible against a world-class player made it all more amazing. I suppose the difference in the end could have been the experience that afternoon. I'd been there before, whereas it was Paul's first Crucible semi-final. Paul was so gracious afterwards that it was one of the few times that I actually felt sorry for an opponent who'd lost. Despite not achieving the World Championship final, which was won by Mark Williams 18 frames to 16, on a positive side of things, Hunter improved his ranking position to 8th, cementing himself as one of the strongest players in the main tour. In the new season, Paul changed the looks, honoring himself the nickname the Beckham of the Baize, due to his resemblance to the famous football player David Beckham. Season started with last 16 finish at LG Cup, an unsuccessful title defense at British Open, losing in quarters. At UK Championship, Paul achieved another quarterfinal, but was eliminated by Mark Williams 3 frames to 9. Later on, Hunter took part in a non-ranking Premier League, where in group stage match against Makafu, Paul scored his highest break, 146. Adding third consecutive ranking quarterfinal to Welsh Open, Hunter went to play at the Masters. In last 16, Paul defeated David Gray, 6-3. In quarters, he defeated world champion Mark Williams, 6-5, and in semi-final, emerged victory over John Higgins, 6-3. In the final, Hunter faced Ronnie O'Sullivan, a match that is generally known as an all-time classic. The Rocket won first 2 frames. Paul was able to answer with 170 century break, but Ronnie responded by winning 4 more frames in around 40 minutes time span. Despite that, Hunter didn't intend to give up easily.
This is very tough. Terrific shot. Absolutely terrific. Well, the crowd certainly enjoyed that. They want this high standard to continue, and I think they would like to see
Thank
Paul
you.
Hunter
Let him concentrate now. Thank
win
you.
this last frame of this session. He deserves to do it with a shot like that.
Well, if you're 6-1 in front, that shot's hard enough. But to play that shot 6-1 behind the way O'Sullivan's playing took a lot of bottle. As you rightly say, Dennis, was first class. I think Plan Z is coming to operation. I wonder what Plan Z was that Steve Davis was talking about.
16.
We know what Plan V is.
17.
There are a lot of Ronnie O'Sullivan supporters here in this capacity crowd at the Wembley Conference Centre, but the cheer Paul Hunter got when he knocked that long red in, I think they would like to see the Yorkshireman take this final frame of this session.
23. $24.
Needs to screw back with a little touch aside here to get out on this red. If he screws back somewhere along the line, should be okay.
31.
Only to the inch, Dennis, that one. This is a pack you must go into him from the blue. The red is potable to the right of the pack, but if he gets an angle on here, we'll go right into that top of the pyramid red there. Getting on the one red's no good to him here. He needs to win at one visit. He hit the red absolutely perfectly and deserves everything he gets from here. That was first class. Just watch the cue ball here. You have to hit this red full ball with screw to hold the white. He played it perfectly.
In fact, 38. I think it's one of the best splits I've ever seen. Well, he's put every single red into a potable position.
Yes, it's key when you're playing this kind of shot. Half ball's no good to you. And 44. That's the reason Stephen Hendry developed that shot, where you screw into that pyramid red to hold the white. Even if he kissed it half ball, he would have kept the white in the middle of the table. And this is just unbelievable snooker. This is the 8th frame, and the lowest break we've had was in the very, very first frame, when both players were entitled to be a little bit nervous, trying to settle. There was only a 56 in that.
52.
There's been a 70 or above in every single frame since.
Look at the pot success rate, 93, 97, unbelievable.
Just shows you how tough it is, Dennis, to have a 93% success rate and 6-1 behind. It's a tough score.
And look at that safety success rate, both at 88%.
58.
And we haven't seen that much safety, have we?
Yes, and when we have, they've knocked a long one in. The way both these players have played under normal circumstances, I'm sure that success rate would be up in the 90s as well. It's the fact that both players' long game has been first class.
59.
But showing a terrific amount of character here, Paul Hunter. 6-1 down, and he's out there knocking these in as if he was 6-1 in front.
Well, it took a century for him to win his only frame so far in this match. 74 will be the target he's looking for at this break, but red colour red will give him that frame to make it 6-2, and still in with a slight chance.
$65.
Needs the colour, and it's not guaranteed. There's 67 left on the table. The colour's not a certainty. That kiss on the blue was just about the worst kiss he could have got. He's going to risk the green. This is going to have to go in. If he misses it, you never know.
$68.
Once again, a terrific round of applause from the crowd here. They knew the importance of that green. So it's going to be 6-2. So it's going to be plan B.
And the pattern of this game is just incredible. 70 or above 76. In every frame bar the first. When both players were nervous, 56 O'Sullivan made.
77.
There's nothing better than live snooker when it's at this class. It's been a remarkable session of snooker.
Ronnie's getting his bits and pieces together. 84. He's got a file there. That's with the press onto the tip just to keep the chalk from slipping off it.
85.
Yes, most players have a small file.
$92. 93.
Can he get the pink and the red to make a second century?
When somebody asks how did you play, Paul, we'll had a couple of centuries.
99.
Lost the session 6-2. Doesn't sound quite fair, this. But that's the
100.
case now. He has to make a century to win a frame. Cannot beat the high strike, of course. You can only get a possible 1-3-4.
109. 112.
'Well, he deserved this
116.
frame. He deserved the century break. It all started with a fantastic
121.
opening pot, and he deserved to win the frame from that.
127.
Well, we've witnessed some good sessions here at the Masters at Wembley. This, for me, has been as good as anything we've seen. 2 centuries from Hunter. 8-2 above in every frame.
After first session, the man with the golden key was down 2-6, and as match continued, gap only increased to 5 frames. But Paul was able to get himself back in the match, making the score 6-7. Following frames were exchanged, and as Ronnie won his 9th, Hunter was able to answer with magnificent 3 frames in a row, thus winning his 3rd Masters trophy with the exact same score, 10-9.
And now, ladies and gentlemen, to the winner, a cheque for £100,000, the Waterford Crystal Masters Trophy, and the title of this year's Masters Champion goes to Paul Hunter. Paul Hunter, ladies and gentlemen.
At the European Open, Beckham of the Baize lost at last 16, with the following Irish Masters being no different. Then it was time for Players' Championship, where Paul convincingly defeated 5-0 Dean Janui in last 32, making 144 break in second frame. Then at last 16 Hunter eliminated Steve Davis, 5-3, whereas in quarterfinal Paul won over Ronnie O'Sullivan, 5-2. In semi-final Hunter faced Ken Doherty for the first time since their World Championship match, but unlike Crucible, Paul won 6-2, advancing to the final. A game against his childhood favorite player Jimmy White was a close one, but the whirlwind won 9-7. Runner-up result on pre-World Championship tournament made Hunter one of the favorites at the Crucible. The last 32 match was against John Parrott, and winning 10 frames to 7, Paul began another quest for World Championship title. Last 16 saw a replay of the previous season, with Hunter once again faced Matthew Stevens. Things were looking good, as Paul was leading 10-6 after the first 2 sessions, but eventually Welshman won in a decider 12-13. Season overall was considered successful, as the Beckham of the Baize rankings position improved considerably, to the 4th. Paul began new season with a good start, winning 4 matches, thus advancing to the semi-final of Grand Prix, where Paul suffered a loss against eventual tournament winner Ronnie O'Sullivan, 3 frames to 6. After Grand Prix, Hunter was eliminated in last 32 at British Open against future world champion and 48 world ranking at the time, Sean Murphy. Further down the calendar was UK Championship, where the man with the golden cue was defeated by Ali Carter in a decider 8-9. At non-ranking Premier League, Paul finished at 7th and simultaneously last position, gaining only 2 points with 2 draws and 4 losses. Welsh Open saw another early elimination, at last 32 against Barry Hawkins, 43rd world ranking player. Next tournament, Malta Cup, was no different, as Hunter lost to Stuart Patman, 38 world ranking at the time. The Beckham of the Baize luckiest tournament, the Masters, was upcoming. But even in here, Paul got knocked out in last 16 by Steve Davis. It was evident that something was happening to Paul that affected his drastic regress in results. Hunter almost withdrew from following Irish Masters because of stomach pains. At the time he said, "The specialist wanted to know whether I'd ever had a stomach operation, as he couldn't find one of my kidneys. But I hadn't, so goodness knows what it's all about." After 10 consecutive games without winning in official matches, Hunter defeated Tony Drago 5-3 in last 32 at Irish Masters. But in last 16, Paul was eliminated by Robert Milkins, 2 frames to 5. As the season was coming to an end, Paul was able to display good performance in China Open, reaching the quarterfinal. But on April 6, 2005, only 3 days as the tournament has been finished, the Beckham of the Baize shocked the snooker world with a worrying news. Paul Hunter diagnosed with cancer, more specifically malignant neuroendocrine tumors in his stomach. Despite such rare disease, Paul was determined to overcome it and remained positive. Hunter took part in the World Championship, but was eliminated in the first round by Michael Holt 8-10. Thanks to his previous season results, the man with the golden cue managed to keep his strong ranking position, dropping only 1 place from 4th to 5th. But of course, the main focus was on Paul's health, and was the battle that he was aimed to win. Paul started new season at Grand Prix, losing to Rory McLeod in last 64, 4 frames to 5. After that, Hunter was invited to play Port Black Cup, a special tournament where all matches were played over 1 frame. Paul was able to defeat Ronnie O'Sullivan, but lost to Matthew Stevens in semi-final, who won the whole tournament. As the year 2005 was coming to an end, it was UK Championship time. In last 32, the man with the golden cue managed to overturn 6-8 score into Night 8 victory over Jamie Burnett. But in last 16, Hunter was defeated 2-9 by eventual tournament winner Dean Wu. Nonetheless, soon after UK Championship, Paul was able to celebrate. On December 26, 2005, his wife Lindsay gave birth to their first child, daughter Evie Rose. Hunter became a father, but his overall condition didn't improve much. Paul was taking chemotherapy in order to fight with the disease. At Masters 2006, Hunter lost to Mark Williams 3-6. Then, at Multi-Cup, Paul faced Dominic Dale in last 32, but was defeated 3-5. Welsh Open saw Hunter eliminated yet again in last 32, now by Anthony Hamilton 3-5. China Open matchup was against David Rowe, but Paul also lost in last 32 with a score 4-5.
And this flamboyant player is showing just how much courage and strength he has, both on and off the table. 3 times Masters champion, your appreciation for the Beckham of the Baize, Paul Hunter!
Crucible welcomed Paul for another shot at the world title. In last 32, he faced Australian future world champion Neil Robertson. Paul took the lead, then following 2 frames were exchanged. But after that, Aussie player was able to win 7 frames in a row, to make the score 2-8. Paul demonstrated fighting spirit and won 2 frames, but Neil took another one and score turned to 4-9.
One. Seven. 8. 14. 15.
Paul just checking the scores. If he takes the pink on, there's 43 in it. The black would be the one to take him over the line. So that was the right shot. Well played.
$22. 23.
No doubt in my mind that Paul's been the better player of the two in tonight's snooker. He's just about to take a 3-2 lead in this session.
$30. 31. $31 in the frame, Paul Hunter.
So Neil Robertson concedes. Paul Hunter pulls another frame back, but he trails by 9 frames to 5. Neil Robertson just 1 frame away from a place in the second round.
Unfortunately, that frame was the last that Hunter won that season, as in the following frame he lost the match 5-10. Paul said, "It's been tough for me, because I've not really enjoyed playing while I've been ill. I've been in pain, but I've just had to give it a go, to try keep my ranking up. Next year, I will try to get back to where I should be." Ongoing battle with the disease left a huge mark on Paul's results, as his world ranking dropped drastically, from 5th to 34th. On July 24, 2006, there was a good news for the Beckham of the Baize, as at an extraordinary general meeting of the World Professional Billiards and Snooker Association, players voted to give the board the capacity to freeze a Hunter's record. Sadly, in the following months, Paul's health continued to deteriorate. With only 5 days short of his 28th birthday, Paul's heart has stopped beating on October 9, 2006. He left wife, Lindsay, and a daughter, Evie Rose. Paul has gone very early, but the impact he left to the snooker world lives on. Paul Hunter Foundation was established in 2006, with the aim to give disadvantaged, able-bodied and disabled youngsters an opportunity to play snooker. In the following years, the German Open was renamed in Paul Hunter Classic, and already saw 14 tournaments under its name. On April 20, 2016, Barry Hearn made the announcement.
It's something that perhaps it could be argued we should have done before, but from this January, the Masters Trophy in perpetuity will be renamed the Paul Hunter Trophy in memory of Paul. And I think again snooker fans around the world will appreciate that gesture to a great, great player.
Paul's legacy lives to this day, and his captivating play, unique look, and bright smile will always be remembered.
Slowly I get going, and when she